welcome. Today I have a very colorful art card to show you, and let's get started. I start out with a piece of chipboard and I just start mounting old book paper onto the chipboard. And you know how when you have a sheet of book paper, there's paragraph endings and has some blank areas, and you can leave those, that would be fine. I just like the look of taking another scrap and just covering up that area. It makes it look a little more scrappy, I guess. And so I'm doing that. I got a few areas that I just want to add another scrap of paper, and I just glue that on with my Tombow glue stick. And I do it enough times to where I don't see any empty space. It's all covered with words. And you could even take different kinds of book paper so it looks really different, but in this case I thought just more pieces of book paper would be of the same book would be fine. And once I have it all sufficiently covered, I trim it to size. And putting really any kind of liquid media on top of a book paper can be challenging, so I'm giving it a layer of clear gesso just to kind of seal it in, and that way anything I put on it, you can put almost anything on gesso and it'll work out fine. Clear gesso is a little grittier to me than white gesso, and I could have used white if I didn't want the words to show up quite as, quite as clear, but clear worked good for me. And then I use my scraper and just my catalyst and just kind of scrape it so it's got a nice even layer of gesso. And I want that to dry, so I'm gonna start on my focal image, which is this flower I drew. I have a whole bunch of drawings of flowers that are at the ready so that whenever I want to watercolor them, they're ready and I can just pick out which one I want. Now, I'm not a watercolor artist, but I do like to dabble in it, and I tend to do it very loosely. So either I'm not caring if I go out of the lines, or if I'm not, I don't care if I don't make it quite to the lines. And again, I just it just is what it is, and I'm happy with it. So for the petals, I'm doing pink and orange, and then the leaves are getting a kind of yellow green, and then I'll add a little bit of ochre at the base of the leaf to kind of give it a little bit of dimension and color variation. So once it's all watercolor, I give it a quick dry, and then I get my scissors out and give it a fussy cut. Not real extreme. I won't go into the really tough parts in there, but all the major parts I'll cut them out. This is a stamp from the Eccentric stamp of Stampers Anonymous, and it's perfect for a flower center, and if you want something unusual. So I have a couple different sizes of circle stamps, and so I just line it up where I can see it and punch it out. But before I glue it on, I'm going to give it some white dots with my white Posca Paint Pen and dry that real quick so that the white doesn't absorb any of the watercolor color. And now I'm going to add a little color onto the background. I'm going to use the same pink and the same orange that's in the flower, and just add a few streaks of it. I want to still see the book paper print. Now, if you don't have watercolors, you can be doing the same thing with watercolor pencils, distress inks. There are the Neocolor crayons, distress crayons. So there's a lot of different ways you can be putting this color on. I just hadn't used my watercolors in a while, so I thought I'd get them out. This is a scrap of cardstock. Kind of just looks like a grid maybe for writing columnar numbers. So I got this stamp out from, it's on the Eccentric stamp set from Stampers Anonymous. And so I just stamped onto the scrap, and I'm going to be adding that to the background. And I also have a piece of black and white scrapbook paper, and I'm going to be adding that as well. I give the edges a little bit of black StazOn ink. And just gluing the rest of my collage pieces down. have this little scrap left of this ticket that was stamped on a piece of paper, and using the wrong circle punch, I used the small one and I really wanted to use the large one. So I take that stamp and stamp it again on that same paper. Position it just right and stamp my circle. And give it a little dark edge with my black StazOn ink. And just kind of want to get an idea where everything's going to lay and how it's going to lay. I often like to have something sticking over the edge of the card. In this case, there's going to be a couple leaves sticking over the edge. And my glue is clogged up, and my secret for unclogging my glue is to loosen the top and just blow really hard in it, and you can just feel it just kind of blow right into the glue. The bad part is you now have a little something in your glue, but when you're using it to spread over a larger surface, they'll come out then and you can just get them out that way. So it's not really a huge deal. My flower center, and then I trim anything that's hanging over the edge other than the leaves. I leave the leaves. Now I'm just going to give it some white splatter and use that Art Graph Taylor's chalk in white. That's the only one of them I have, but usually if I'm splattering in white or one of my distressing colors, but this gives a really nice white splatter. Thanking Suzanne Rose Art for that tip. And then give it a dry. And there's this little spot in the upper left corner that doesn't have anything. And so I'm just giving it a little touch of pink watercolor. Not a lot, just a little touch. And then it's time to glue on my sentiment. And it says, "Stay strong." And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed watching this process. Encourage you to make some art. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. And give me a thumbs up. That would be appreciated. Y'all have a great day.